In SolidCAM, we have a product called SolidCAM Machine Shop Floor Editor. Now, what exactly is that? Well, let's take a couple scenarios. Let's say you have a machine shop and you have a programmer that sends the program down to the machine shop. Now, the actual machinist may know a little bit more about machining itself on the shop floor. And he may see that the speed rate and feed rate is not exactly correct according to the way the programmer did it, so he may want to make some minor changes. Or a different scenario. Let's say you're working a night shift and a tool breaks in the middle, which can happen, and the machinist looks for a new tool and he finds the tool, but it's similar, but not exactly the exact same thing what's programmed. So he also again has to make those minor changes. That's what the SolidCAM Machine Shop Floor Editor is, to make those minor changes on the floor. Let's take a look how this works. I'll just open up my SolidCAM Machine Shop Floor Editor, and you'll note that with Machine Shop Floor Editor, you cannot make any new parts. You can open old parts, you can make changes in parts, but new parts cannot be made. I'll open up an old part that I have over here, and you see, even if I try to do something new, you'll get a message that you're not working in the full license and you have to upgrade it. So this is specifically for making the minor changes that you may need. So let's go for a moment into our toolkit. If I opened up my toolkit, I have an end mill over here, this 16 millimeter end mill. Now, in the 16 millimeter end mill, you'll note I have a cutting length of 12 millimeters. Well, there was a little break on that tool that we had in the middle of the night, and he found another 60 millimeter tool, but that tool only had 4 meters of cutting length. So he'll change that to 4 millimeters, and then he'll do save and exit. Now, obviously, there's some tool changes that have to be made here. I'm going to calculate all of these and only calculate the ones I needed, but let me go into this pocket operation. Now, if I take a look at the pocket operation, I'll note the following. If I go into my levels, my step down is every 6 millimeters. Now, I know my tool can only cut 4 millimeters, so I'll make a change over here of 4 millimeters. I may also want to make a change in my speed or feed rate. So let me go to my data of my tool, and I can make any changes I may need over here. For instance, I can make my feed rate at, say, 1,800 and change my spin rate if needed. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And now I'm just going to do save and calculate. Now I'm going to run my new SolidCAM simulation. And you'll see now we have a shorter tool. And when I do the simulation, you'll see now it goes down in many step downs. Now I'm going to do this also on a different part. I'm going to load a different part that has HSM in it. Now again, you can see all the operations, all of them. I can make any kind of change I want, if necessary, all these minor changes I may need. I'm just going to run the simulation this time. This time, however, when I run my simulation, I'm going to use the machine simulation. So I'll go to simulate, I'll go to machine simulation, and you can see that a part for anything I've said for making a new part, we can basically do just about anything needed on the shop floor. And we can see the actual machine simulation here as well. I'll just run it, and you can see that we see our full machine simulation. Okay, let me stop this. Now, you've noted that I've been running this as an external program, as a standalone program of SolidCAM Shop Floor Editor. But this runs just as well if it is integrated. Now, why would I want to have it integrated? Well, there are times you may want to have the machinist see the actual model. So if I were to run SolidWorks with the Shop Floor Editor, he'll be able to see everything as far as the model, but again, will not be able to do any new operations, but will be able to edit any of the old ones to make those minor changes. You'll see again, if I go into this operation over here, I'll make the exact same changes that we did the last time, just in the opposite direction. I'll go into my toolkit. I'll change this tool back to a 12 millimeter cutting length. I'll accept those changes. I'll go into this operation, change my step down to every 6 millimeters what it was before. Save and calculate. I'll actually run save and calculate on all so that I can have all of my operations calculated, including those two over there. And this time I'm going to run my solid verify simulation. Just go into solid verify this time. And you see all of these verifications that we have are available to us inside the SolidCAM Shopfloor editor. Again, I'll open up the HSM part. And just as before, you'll see that I cannot create any type of new operations, but the editing is something I still can do inside the Shopfloor editor. I'll run my machine simulation this time on the entire part. And you can see that the machine floor editor allows for the full machine simulation as well. Now, in addition to the SolidCAM Shopfloor editor, we now have a new product called SolidCAM Shopfloor Simulation. If I were to run this particular program, this will allow us to do exactly what we've done in the Shopfloor editor with some differences. The difference basically is that over here you can only see the simulation, you can see the operations, but no editing can be done. You can also create the G-code if necessary. Let me just open up a part, and you can see that if I go to an operation, right-click, we have the options of viewing the operations, creating the G-code, and running our simulation. If I go to view, you'll note that I cannot save anything that I have done here. Everything is only for viewing. If I want to run my simulation, I can right-click and run my simulation. Let's first run our solid verify simulation. And you can see that just like any other simulation that you've seen on your regular station. I'll stop this for now. And I'll even run my machine simulation. In my machine simulation, you can see, again, everything that you've seen before in your regular station. The advantages of having the SolidCAM Shopfloor simulator is that it also allows the programmer to give the actual program to the machinist, but will not allow him to do any editing. So he doesn't have to worry about any editing being done by mistake. This is meant solely for the machinist to see exactly what is going to be happening on the machine.